Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy back with another What If video, and we are going to be combining two very known series on this channel in Dragon Ball and Naruto, and we're going to be sending Goku over to the Naruto universe. Now, I kind of wanted to lay some ground rules for this What If because I know there's a very common What If trope. You search on YouTube and you'll find like tons and tons of videos already kind of going over this. So one of the things I wanted to establish was that I plan on having Goku and Naruto be the same age, so growing up together. And then I also want to establish that I'm only tossing Goku over to this universe. So Vegeta's not going to be there, Frieza's not going to be there, there's not going to be any other Dragon Ball characters there. It's simply going to be Goku and how I think he would act if the events of Naruto are played out with his presence there. So with that being said, I'm going to set up for the first scene. So we're initially still going to start with Goku being sent off world from planet Vegeta due to the impending destruction by Frieza. And he's still going to be a baby, and he's going to be running off in space. And the change that we're going to make here is that we're just going to say that a wormhole opens up somewhere into space and a ship is sucked in. And that is how he initially crash lands in the Naruto verse. Next, we go to Konoha at night, and it's been a couple months after the Ninetales attack. The pod would crash land in and around the village, and unfortunately for the village, it would be during a full moon. So during this full moon, Goku would transform into a great ape, crushing most of the sand pod, and he would begin to wreak havoc throughout the village. Now, I think one of the things that I want to establish in terms of power scaling was I based my power scaling off of a specific YouTuber who made power levels for Naruto. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not a power scaler in any sense of the word. And so based off of that, I know Goku's power level as a baby was 2. So the Ozaru transformation upping that by 10 would give him power level of 20. So he wouldn't be like a threat on the level of the Ninetales, but obviously you don't want a rampaging monkey going around just wreaking havoc. The village would still be incredibly on guard, given that, like I said, the Ninetales attack was only a couple months prior. So Hiruzen, along with a lot of the stronger Jonins, would already be there as quickly as possible because they would be worried about the Ninetales going on a rampage, considering they sailed inside of a freaking baby. And Hiruzen would wonder what the hell this monkey thing is. He would have his staff in hand. You have the monkey motif there already, and I believe one of the Hyugas would be able to, or I feel like the Byakugan should be able to see the bolt waves coming from the moon and going into Goku's tail. So I think they would have the strategy of cutting the tail just based off of seeing the concentration of the pulse waves. And so when they cut it, they would see that Goku would revert back to a baby. Upon Goku turning back to a baby, I don't think Hiruzen would want to finish him off because it's a freaking baby. I mean, listen, I know Konoha would be doing some shady, but offing a baby in not broad nighttime, because that doesn't make any sense, but offing a baby just is a bit much. He would probably kind of try to see if he can harness the power that he showed for him to be a asset to the village. And I think Hiruzen would probably take an interest in him, again, because he's seen Goku turn into a giant ape-like monkey. And given that that's kind of Hiruzen's thing when it comes to, summoning monkeys and the Enmas and all that, I feel like he would probably end up adopting him, just because of the monkey motif. I think that would make a lot of sense for the story. And that way he would be able to kind of keep a close eye on him. And then from there, that would kind of end the prelude to the start of the story. By the time Goku starts the Ninja Academy, he would be easily the best in his class at Taijutsu. He would be the undisputed number 1, beating up on all the other kids in the simulated training. However, he would be absolutely terrible at ninjutsu, really basically non-existent. And Genin and Genjutsu would more or less not even be something that they would even want to test for because of how bad he would be at it. And I think it would get to a point where, because he would literally not be able to do either one at all. So eventually they would kind of want to test to see what exactly is wrong with this kid and why he can't harness his chakra. And when they analyze him, they realize that he basically has no chakra to begin with. And in fact, he just kind of has like a big ball of energy at his center. So the reason why this is the case, stepping out of universe, is that when I look at Ki and the way Ki is described in Dragon Ball, and you look at chakra, right? I'm basing this specifically off of the training that Gohan had with Videl, where he talks about how he is supposed to be your vital like life force energy that is kind of placed at the center of your body, whereas chakra obviously flows throughout your body in the Naruto universe. And chakra is something that is given to the humans by the Sage of Six Paths. So therefore, I don't think it would be something that Goku would have, because he obviously wouldn't have been there when it was being passed down. So you know what? So yeah, I think it would make sense. It would make sense for him to have any chakra, for him to utilize ninjutsu in the first place. I don't think that would work. So, but anyway, back to the story. When the instructors realized this, they would be kind of weirded out because they wouldn't really know what to do with him, and they would just, I guess, have him focus on just developing his taijutsu and his physical strength and conditioning further, because there's literally nothing else that they can really train him in right now. When it comes to key usage, though, I know Saiyans do tend to have a natural aptitude for it, so I'm still planning on having him incorporate key-based techniques. However, it's going to have to be things that he develops on his own. When it comes to his relationship with his classmates, I think it'd be a bit interesting because Goku's not very social. He's quite aloof, right? And when you look at the original Dragon Ball, the dude went like years upon years with literally no human interaction whatsoever, and he seems to be doing just fine emotionally. Like even when you look at Dragon Ball Z, the guy can ignore his friends or not talk to them for years on end without really feeling the need to uphold or upkeep his relationships. So I say that to say, I don't think he would have like a deep bond with most of his classmates, nor would I think that would bother him in any way. I think more so what would be likely to happen is I think he still probably would develop a relationship with Naruto, which I know cliche, they're both the main characters of their own story, so of course I'm gonna have to put them together. But I think even within the context of the story, it would just make sense because he would probably be the only classmate to not have any real bias for or against Naruto, because he doesn't really know about the whole Nine Tails thing, or he wouldn't have any parents telling him not to talk to him like the other kids, nor would he have like the angst from his family getting blipped like Sasuke. So he would probably actually develop a good rapport with Naruto. So I could actually see them being friends in this timeline, even just outside of the whole cliche of, again, having two main characters being friends. So you would have Naruto to kind of quote unquote play with and train with as well. And then I think the only other person that he would probably develop a interesting bond with, actually two more people, because I could see him developing a bond with Shoji. I could just see them bonding over the fact that like they both eat a lot, and so they would probably bond over the fact that like they can both eat a lot of food, so they probably hang out together to eat, which then would probably have him become friends with Shikamaru, because obviously Shikamaru and Shoji are best friends, so I could see him and Shikamaru being friendly for that reason. And then Sasuke, I think, would be interesting because I don't think they would have much of a relationship prior to the Uchiha massacre. But given how strong Goku is physically, I could see Sasuke kind of wanting to use him as a barometer, at least for his taijutsu skills. Because you have to remember, after the Uchiha massacre, Sasuke becomes obsessed with becoming stronger than Itachi, and he's always looking to seek out strong people to fight. To know how strong Goku is, at least physically in terms of taijutsu, he would definitely want to measure himself up against him just for that reason. So I think given that and the fact that Naruto would be friends with Goku as well, that would probably lead to them having a bit of a better rapport as well, because Naruto and Goku would be friends, so Sasuke would probably run into Naruto a decent amount. So yeah, so I see those four kind of being the main people that Goku interacts with, at least in school wise. As for the girls, I don't really think any of them would really have a relationship with Goku. Maybe Hinata a little bit, because since Goku and Naruto are friends and she has a crush on Naruto, she'd probably be cool with Goku by default. And I don't think any of the other people in the Konoha 9 would really have a real friendship with Goku, at least prior to the start of the Naruto story. Then lastly, I think he would also have a good bond with Konoha and Asuma, because obviously they're part of the Sarutobi family as well. So Asuma would probably be like a big brother to him, and they would probably do a lot of training together. So I think Goku would probably be better skilled when it comes to incorporating more weapons into his arsenal. And then Konohamaru and him would be somewhere around the same age. I mean, Konohamaru would be considerably younger, but he kind of look up to Goku, seeing how physically strong he is. So I think Goku would probably take a lot of the big brother role that Naruto had. in Konohama's life. So I could see that happening as well. And then I feel like eventually Goku would grow the tail back, and they would probably just make it a point to not let him go out in the full moon, so they didn't have to deal with the Great Ape again. So I see by the time we get to Goku passing the academy, which I think for him, since they know he doesn't have chakra, they wouldn't give him the clone jutsu to replicate. So you probably have to just like pass some type of like physical exam that like emphasizes like his speed and strength and all of that, because that's what he's been training for specifically. And so I think his power level will probably be somewhere around the 200s, which is, I know it's gonna sound crazy, it's basically like average Jonin level. So you're looking at like, I'd probably say he'd be as strong as like, I don't want to say awesome because that would sound kind of crazy, because I don't really know, because I think yeah, he'd probably be, I feel like he'd be physically at least around as strong as an average Jonin. Just because you have to keep in mind Goku's power level in Dragon Ball is agreed upon to be around like 50, and that was when he basically didn't have anyone train him for most of his life, right? And he already had like a physical advantage compared to the average human. So I think while having like someone he can actively fight with on a daily basis and going to a school that actively teaches him how to fight, I just don't see how he wouldn't grow by leaps and bounds by where he was at 12 years old in Dragon Ball episode 1 at least. So I think he would probably have like a random like fodder squad. I don't feel like taking out any of the Konoha 9 to put him in there. He would definitely have like the worst scores in his class because the dude's dumb as bricks. But I think just his taijutsu ability alone would allow him to not be considered to be the worst student like in the class. So I'm just gonna give him like two random fodder teammates. So that's gonna do it for the first part. And I do apologize. There was a lot of window dressing that I had to. Yeah, I apologize for that. I don't know if I can edit that audio out of the thing, but yeah, no, there was a lot of window dressing I had to do for the first part, just to really do a good job of trying to establish where we're at with the story. So from here, we're going to pick up at the shooting exams for the next part, and there's definitely going to be more of a actual ongoing story from there. I just really wanted this part to establish kind of where Goku was at, his relationship to the other main characters, kind of how the village views him at the moment, and what he's been doing in the kind of quote unquote less important part of the plot. So we're definitely going to be shifting into high gear going into part 2. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more, and most importantly, remember to have a good day.